Welcome to On the Whistle podcast with Connor and Zoe, only on Smile Radio. If you'd like to support Smile Radio so we can continue to be the beacon for unsigned and independent music, please go to our website www.smileradio.co. You can become a Patreon or you can just simply make a donation. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at SmileRadio3, Facebook at Smile Radio Yorkshire. Thank you and enjoy the podcast.
For today's hits and all-time favorites.
This is your Smile Radio.
Here's my story, it's sad but true. It's about a girl that I once knew. She took my love, then ran around with every single guy in town. Hey, hey, whoa, 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 nah, 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 hey, 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 oh, yeah, I should have known it from the very start. This girl will leave me with a broken heart. I listen, people, what I'm telling you. I keep away from a runaround Sue, yeah. Whoa. You don't look amused tonight.
I'm just so used to it.
She's got face on.
I haven't, I'm just tired, love. It's been a long day.
Okay, love, okay. I'm sorry about that. Sorry, it's been a long day. We're back for an hour. We did a full rugby league show last week, so we'll touch base on a few rugby league stuff, but we'll also talk a bit about football. There's a few contentious points to discuss. So, first of all, how are we all doing on this lovely, fresh Tuesday evening?
Great to be alive, CG.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Great to be alive.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Ben's on.
Yeah.
Hi, Ben. Hello. Gotta love Zoe's face when Connor attempts to sing. Lol.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, you only have to hear it once a week, Ben. I have to hear it every single day.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. So, right, come on. What's happened this week for you in the sporting world?
Oh, you should know. Well, there's been lots and lots of stuff happening. I think the main storyline from the past 24 hours that probably we should kick the show off with is the news of Ian Watson's departure from
Do you know what?
Salford.
I forgot about. I'm thinking about everything, and I'm going through all talking points at football weekend, and thinking about previewing playoffs. And yeah, it's all. I forgot about Watson. So yeah, after saying he was committed to Salford, and Salford came out 5 days ago and said, we've unfinished business next year and all this and other, and yeah, and then it comes out last night that he's parted company with immediate effect, and in the statement, obviously Salford disappointed and don't really understand Ian Watson's decision, but Ian Watson's made that decision to move on, and an unnamed Super League club, but the rumours doing the rounds, it's the Giants of Huddersfield. So what do you make of that one?
Well, I think it's a strange one. I think a lot of people thought he'd probably be going to Hull. Obviously, Lee Radford left and they've had Andy Lastin for the last however many months since, obviously, before lockdown. So I think a lot of people thought that would be the natural progression and the natural choice for him to go to, but something's caught his eye at Huddersfield, and if that is where he's going, and whether that gets confirmed in the next couple of days, we'll wait and see. But it looks likely that that's happening. So something must have caught his eye at Huddersfield, and then
Tell you what's caught his eye, them extra few digits on his bank balance.
well,
at the end of the
yeah,
month.
and then you've got to think who's gonna go to Hull. Obviously, Hull are still in need of a head coach. So yeah, it leaves it all up in the air. But I think, I mean, if you're a Huddersfield Giants fan and you're seeing that news yesterday that Ian Watson's coming to be your manager for the next however many years, if you're a Giants fan, you're very pleased with that. I think. Obviously, he's taken Salford from being, would you say, kind of in a similar position as what Huddersfield are. Huddersfield have probably got a little bit more money to spend than Salford. But you've seen what he's done with Salford and taken them from bottom of the Super League table to grand final and a Challenge Cup final in successive years. So you understand why Huddersfield have gone for him, and they must have put a decent pitch in because it looks like he's going over there.
Yeah, one thing I've heard, which is quite an interesting one, that the reason he turned down Hull, Watson, is he wanted to take his staff with him, his backroom staff, and I think Adam Pearson at Hull was adamant that he was going to keep Andy Last on and some staff from there at the KCOM. Yeah, and I think
I've not seen
at
that.
the Giants, I think they're prepared to let him bring his staff in, so that and you see, not necessarily as much in rugby league, but in football, it's 99%. Probably 90%. If you've got a manager, for example, Neil Warnock's took Kevin Blackwell to every club he's been at.
Yeah.
So he's got that loyalty to his staff there as Watson. Wants to stay with them, and obviously there's a bit of you inside that. Yeah, well, Watson's probably getting the plaudits and taking him on the chin and going, yeah. He's probably thinking to him, saying, "Oh, hold on a minute, I wouldn't have been half as successful if it hadn't been for guys that have worked under me." So
yeah, exactly.
He doesn't want to break away from that, and if he does get, if for instance he goes to Huddersfield without his backroom staff and as a struggle, struggles in that first season, and people start saying, "Oh, well, it was his backroom staff then that were what big," then it gives him a bit of not a bad reputation, but it doesn't do him any favours. So yeah, wants to take his backroom staff with him, and that's what I think Huddersfield have allowed him to do. So you'd expect that to be announced if it's going to be in the next few weeks, wouldn't you? Because you'd want it obviously in place before pre-season starts, and pre-season for most clubs is starting in the beginning of December as well. So
yeah, it won't be long. And you look at the sort of recent years of Huddersfield, and they've had a few issues with the coach. Obviously Rick Stone.
I forgot about him.
He left, and then Simon Wolford came in, and he did all right. Stayed for a couple of years, and obviously then he got the boot earlier in the season. And then Luke Robinson has come in and had a really good run of fixtures, and he's got the side playing well, and they've got some good results. But obviously they need a long term coaching, and I think Ian Watson is probably going to be the first. Well, look, if he does a good job and does as well as he did at Salford, you'd like to see him staying there for quite some time, because Huddersfield seem to have had coaches come and go and not really any sort of nothing quite as settled. So I think Ian Watson going there will, like you said, bring his backroom staff and hopefully take Huddersfield to where they want to be. And I know where Ken Davey wants them to be as well, because he's pumped a lot of money into that club, and he'll want them with the players that they've got. I mean, obviously Aidan Caesar, we've just got a message from Ben saying, can you imagine what Ian Watson could do with Aidan Caesar? I think once next season is underway and they get full pre-season, and obviously no fingers crossed, no further lockdowns and no further COVID problems, and full pre-season with Ian Watson, I think they'll do well next year.
Yeah, obviously Huddersfield, I've made it quite public. I've said over a long period of time that I think Huddersfield have got some good individuals, but I also think they've got some individuals that are below average. Now, if you're wanting a coach to make those below average players into average and good players, and Ian Watson's your man. He's done it with a number at Salford. Similar to like Powell did at Cass with some of the players that didn't really set the world on fire before they played under the stewardship of Powell, and that's the same with Watson. I think the players in there that I'd refer to as below average, probably Ian Watson gets an extra 20% out of them, so automatically they're a better side. But we're speaking about him as if he's the Messiah. The players on the paddock have got to do the job, and Ian Watson knows that, and everybody who's worth the way that they know that as well. But No, promising. You'd be happy. You've got 2 half-backs there that you can build your side around. You've just maybe got to be smart in your recruitment, and he's built up some good relationships with some players at Salford, and it won't surprise me if he took a couple from the AJ Bell with him over to the John Smiths.
Yeah, you'd probably expect that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens on that one. I mean, obviously they've still got to announce it yet. It's not set in stone, but it's looking likely. And like I said earlier, if you're a Giants fan seeing that news, you're ecstatic, aren't you?
Well, what next for Salford?
Well, that's it. I mean, we were talking obviously off air last night, and when the news came in, who's going to go to Salford, who are Hull going to get in, because obviously Hull have still got to look for a new permanent coach. Obviously Andy Last has done half decent job since he's been there, but they'll be looking for someone to appoint on a more permanent basis. So you look at who's available. I mean, who is available? For obviously, you've got to find someone for the Salford job and someone for the Hull job.
Well, I've seen a few names drawn up, and I look at across the Championship. There's a couple in there, and there's Danny Ward been thrown about. There's James Ford at York, who seems to be thrown about for every job. There's Brian McDermott at Toronto, who's a name, and there's a couple.
That's what we said last night, didn't I? I said you've got to think after. I mean, obviously this is another topic that we can talk about with. We touched upon it last week, but the whole Toronto debacle, and it's all kind of unfolding now. And Brian McDermott will be probably looking for. We'll have to look for another club. So you'd snap your hands off it, wouldn't you? If you're a Hull side, maybe. I don't know. What do I know?
You've got Paul Rowley, obviously at Salford at the minute. He's worked under Ian Watson. You'd expect Ian Watson wants to take him to Huddersfield with him. But having said that, if Ian Blease knocks on the door of Paul Rowley and says, "Look, Paul, the reins are yours, mate. You can be his head coach on a 2-3 year deal." He'd be a brave man to turn that opportunity down to be a head coach. So there's a lot of that, and I've heard that he's going to. I've heard that Ian Blease approached Martin Gleeson, who's on the staff there as well, but Martin didn't feel that it was the right time. And there's obviously a couple of assistants in the Super League that might get thrown about. Your Richard Marshalls, who did a great job at Halifax and got on to do a good job with Saints under Christian Wolff. So yeah, there's a load of names, and I'm sure they'll have both Hull and Salford. I'll have a short list, and don't rule out Andy Last for this whole job. They're probably keeping the powder dry until this season's done, because Andy Last wins 2 games. They're in a grand final at their home ground and could be crowned Super League champions.
Exactly.
So sorry, if you win a Super League, regardless of whether you've done it from 6th or 1st, you deserve a stab at the big time the following year. So, you'll expect, and I think this next month, 6 weeks, 2 months, it'll be a massive time for Rugby League in terms of players moving about, and there'll be a lot of wheeling and dealing going on this time around, and I'm sure in the coming weeks there'll be plenty for us to discuss on player movement, etc. So, yeah, exciting time. But I think in just looking at the bigger picture, good move for Huddersfield, getting Watson in, and Salford will be really disappointed. But what they must do is yes, you're disappointed and frustrated that Ian Watson's gone, but don't be bitter about it. Keep the philosophies and the culture that he's instilled in that club, because it'll stand you in good stead for the future. And there's no reason why whoever comes in to replace Watson, just pick up the mantle, put your own style, but keep the basis and the culture similar to what Watson did, and that leadership group at Salford there'll be key. I'm talking about your Kevin Browns and your players along there, your Chris Nanus, your experienced guys in there, Mossops, just to sort of make sure that they don't get loose and they don't drop off from the high standards that Ian Watson has set.
Yeah, I think that'll be the fear of Salford fans now, that with Ian Watson leaving, what's going to happen to Salford? Are they going to? I mean, they've had a fantastic couple of seasons. Are they going to be able to keep that same momentum going forward under a new coach? What's going to happen? Are they going to have the same players? I mean, obviously we don't know. With every single club in Super League, like you said, there'll be a bit of a player movement going on in the next couple of weeks. So I think the real issue for Salford fans will be whether they can keep that going and keep the form and like desire and the heart and the passion that they've played with over the last couple of years. Whether they can take that going forward under a new coach and whether they can keep that form going. And you'd hope that they can, and they kind of don't fall back to where they were before that.
Yeah, I'd agree. So obviously playoffs this week. Some big games in there. You've got Leeds facing Leeds play Catalans, obviously without the head coach Richard Agar, who's been stood down for COVID reasons for coming into contact with, I believe, the analyst or the somebody in the backroom staff that's tested positive. So Richard Agar has had to self-isolate. So James Webster takes on the mantle, and Sean Long, interesting, he's been brought in as an assistant coach for 2021. He's been brought in early and linked up with the squad.
Be interesting to see.
But you'd expect, and it's not like Richard Agar's left the club. He'll still be ringing the players and speaking to the players on a daily basis.
He'll be on Zoom, won't he?
Yeah, he will. And James Webster has worked with Rich Agar since for 10 years plus. Rich Agar will know full stop where he's leaving in good hand. Webster will take good care of him. So you won't expect that to have much of a difference. And Leeds obviously welcoming some big players back. Conrad Hurrell, Richie Myler.
Are they flying over to Catalans?
Is it at Catalans?
I'm just looking at the fixtures. It says Catalans against Leeds, so I don't know whether it's at a neutral ground.
It's at the Halliwell Jones, I think.
Right, yeah.
Sorry, it's at Halliwell Jones, and then there's game Thursday. Who's on Thursday?
Warrington and Hull.
Yeah, they're both at Halliwell. Yeah. The Halliwell. So
thanks for clarifying that.
Not a problem.
I didn't know.
I'm here all week. Some big games, and Hull FC, and they'll fancy their chances against Warrington, won't they? They'll fancy having a pop at them.
Yeah, I mean, both of kind of similar ilk, really. I mean, Warrington probably have been a bit more consistent than Hull coming off the back of lockdown. Obviously, we've spoken about it before. Hull, one of the most one of the most inconsistent teams in the competition. But when they're on the game, they can beat anyone on the day. Warrington have had a few dodgy results, but again, when they're on it, they're on it. So I think that if both teams play to the ability that they can do, I think that we're all set for a cracking game on Thursday. I wouldn't like to call it, but I would probably go for Warrington to win that one. But you never know. Hull have got in by the skin of their teeth now that they've redrawn the playoff system. Obviously, before that they were only going to have 4, and now they're having 6. And then obviously Huddersfield on standby for COVID reasons.
Yeah, it's a crazy one, Huddersfield on standby, because I'm not being funny. We're on Tuesday now.
What does that mean then? So if a Hull drop out,
so
then
you've got. We used to have as tests on every Monday. Mm-hmm. Odd time we had it Tuesday, but as a rule we had it Monday. We'd get our results back around now. So between now and late evening. If a Warrington or a Hull FC come back with 6 positives after shut the club down, then Huddersfield have to step in. Mm. So Huddersfield, right, they haven't been able to end their season early. They're probably just thinking, what a waste of time this is. They've had to have tests this week in case they have to step in. They'll still be obviously meeting up, probably doing a bit of training, you'd imagine, because you can't afford. Yeah. So it's just a strange one that they're having a team on standby. It just shows what a world we're living in at the minute. So normally what you'd do, end of season game, when did they play? Friday. They played after us Friday. That's it, season done. Mm. You have a beer, you do, your season's done. And obviously they won't be able to do any of that. It'll have just been like, we could be playing next week, we might not be, we might be. So, yeah, it's a weird one, but obviously they'll know after this week.
So what happens then? You might not know the ins and outs of it. So say if, obviously, if, for example, Huddersfield step in for Hull on Thursday.
Yeah.
And then Huddersfield win that game. Do then they go through, or then do Hull play the next game? Is it like Huddersfield are standing in for them, and then Hull go on and say, cheers Huddersfield for winning that game for us?
What it is, they'd have to, in order for Huddersfield to get the nod, the club for Hull, for example, it'd have to be shut down.
Yeah.
So the shutdown period is 2 weeks.
Right.
That rules out this week, next week,
Yeah.
and a little bit after all the build-up. So essentially, if they get shut down, the season's done.
Yeah. Right. Got you.
If it was just a case of a 1 week, it'd be self-isolation. So 4 test positive, but actually the track and trace, they can see exactly where these cases have come from, which would mean they wouldn't have to shut the club down. Because it's happened with Wakefield before. I think a club, I can't remember who it was shut down for having less positive cases than Wakefield. But because Wakefield's cases they could highlight and say, right, he's caught it from there. Our club doctor, for example, caught COVID, and it were 99%, because he's one of the chiefs at Pinderfields, that he caught it from there. So they just stood him down, and they could see a plan. I think there was somebody else who Jay Pitts were another one. I shouldn't be naming names here, but Pitts were another one who caught it off another player, and it were known that he caught it off that player because he shared a vehicle with him to airport and back, so spent 3 hours in a car with him. So there were a clear understanding of where they contracted the virus from, whereas the other clubs there probably wasn't, so that's why they were shut down. So that's how it works. So if Hull FC get 4 positives, but they can see where all the positives have come from, they'll just drop down the players that have come in close contact with them. So they might have 8, 9 stood down, but then they'll just have to play with the rest of the squad, or they could have 4 positives and think, oh, hang on a minute, and get shut down. So it's a funny one, and every case is different.
Oh dear, this world we live in at the minute.
It's so complicated and it's so hard, and I feel sorry for the head coaches in the press conferences, because the first question they get asked every week is, what's the latest on the COVID? And at times they give an answer, so they'll say, oh, we've got 4 positives, and then the next question down the line will be, is it frustrating? How come you're allowed to continue and so had to shut down for having 3 cases? And the head coaches don't know what answer to give, because they don't know the real answer themselves. So it's tough. It's tough.
It's very tough.
It is. I know a lot of people are talking about potentially next year going into the pre-season without testing, scrapping the testing on the head. And just treating it like any normal workplace. So if you develop symptoms, go and get a test. Obviously self-isolate, follow all them precautions, and they seem to think that the game would be a better place doing that, and it'd probably snuff it out. It's just a funny one, isn't it?
Well, on a positive note, today they've announced that the vaccine that's been, it's 90% positive for those who have been on the trials. I mean, I know they're way off finalising the actual trials, but they're saying it's actually.
Well, they say way off, but I might be imagining this. Or it might be something completely different. I'm sure I read somebody say that they're hoping to implement it
in December,
in a short period of time.
Yeah, but what they're saying is, in regards to the normal testing, they don't know after 2 years whether you have any side effects of it, or do you know what I mean? Because normally when they do all these trials for vaccines, they trial it for years. They don't.
I mean, I don't think I'd be coming forward to volunteer to have a vaccine because.
Well, the thing is, fortunately, you're in the very low risk category.
Yeah, that's true.
You're both fit, you're young, healthy.
Well, thanks.
And who knows? We could have had it. We could have had it.
Well, you never know.
You don't know, do you?
And I know there's been people that think, what are the numbers? Something like 1 in 900 have had it twice, or something crazy.
Yeah.
Like there's a real low percentage of people that have had it twice, so it's nearly almost guaranteed if you get it, you won't get it again.
And even those those who have had it the second time round, it's not as bad.
It don't it's bad.
But it's all individual cases, isn't it? But I mean,
it is.
And the thing is, if this does come off, I mean, God, it'd be so nice to get back to some normality.
I know. It would be lovely.
But the risk, it's not a risk, but the way people will think and the mindsets, it's just changed people, hasn't it? A natural thing for me is to go into work and see a few lads, and you know, Willie Poaching came in, assistant coach, and I get on with Willie because I've had a relationship with him through media and stuff. He's done some summarising, and I've always got on with him really well. He comes in as assistant coach for next year, and the natural thing for both of us to do is shake hands.
Yeah.
And that was just it. And then I thought afterwards, bloody hell, I can't believe I've just done that. But it's just a natural thing. But a lot of people now will probably never do that again. You know, because they're that used to now just
touching
not doing
knuckles
it. They probably won't get that back again.
It's bonkers, isn't it? But we can pontificate over it.
Great word.
After.
Great word, little
thanks.
Zoz.
Sorry?
Pontificate.
I've lived on this planet for 22.5 years, and I have not once heard
pontificate.
I've heard a pontifrat, but I ain't heard a pontificate.
It means to like deliberate and discuss.
Hey, every day's a school day, Connor.
You know.
Wow, come on. There's a few of you on here on Facebook. If you've heard of the word
pontificate,
drop us a comment, because I certainly haven't.
It's a great word.
Pontificate! I can't believe I'm not just being silly here. I've never heard of it.
Well, we'll discuss. We'll
Tell you
pontificate.
what, should we have a bit of light-hearted songs?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We'll pontificate during.
Yeah, let's have a bit of jam
during the song break, shall we?
Yes. So you're listening to On the Whistle with Connor and Zoe live on Smile Radio. We're in Dictionary Corner with Zoe, so we'll be
Susie
right.
Dent over here.
Susie Dent. And we're going to play a bit of jam at a town called Mali.
She's the
Countdown.
She's on Countdown. She's the wordsmith on Countdown.
Of course she is.
Anyway, so we're right back after this. So if you've got any comments, if you've got any more words that are really good, let us know.
Run them past me.
Run them past us. Right, see you in a bit. Don't go anywhere. Oh, hang on. He says,
I'm just going to say, stop dreaming of the
"A
quiet
quiet life I will never know." Here we go.
Time is short and life is cool, but it's up to us to change the time. College Go Nursery in Wakefield has been providing the highest standard of childcare for over 22 years. Situated on Eastmore Road, we are close to the M1 and M62 motorway network and also convenient for Wakefield city centre, schools and major places of employment. For more details, check out our website at www.collegegonursery.co.uk or give us a call on 01924 200 120 to arrange a visit. College Grove, a special nursery which takes a hand, opens a mind and touches a heart.
We're back.
Tell you what, it's in my top 5 or 6 songs. Is a jam. It's just.
It is a tune.
It's an absolute belter. You know, it's up there with Run Around Sue and.
Well, Ben's put on. Mally Stokes has said, "Have you had a dictionary for your tea?"
Yeah.
Not a tea yet, but.
For your lunch, you have then.
Have you seen what Ben's put on? I can't even pronounce that.
Well,
Anti-disabilitarianism.
of course you can.
I'm thick with a capital F. Anti-disestablishmentarianism.
Pass.
Pass.
What is it, Zoz? What's he trying to say? What's the message?
Anti-disestablishmentarianism.
Right, I have to say, I've not heard of that. I think you're just putting a lot of letters together.
He's just button bashed, hasn't you, old boy? Bit of button bashing. So, right, well, should we move on to a bit of football?
Yes, there was a comment from Ben earlier on in the
Leaves are falling apart.
on in the comment section that said something along the lines of
Ali's being found out.
Ali's being found out.
In a nutshell, no, I don't think they are. I think it's more a case of Leeds need to smarten up a little bit.
I watched the game against Crystal Palace and 4-1 flattered Palace. I'm sorry. They played well, but Leeds were unlucky, and that goal of Bamford's was a goal.
And I genuinely think that they've lost 4-1 twice in 5 days, Leicester and Palace. I don't think 4-1 was a fair result against Leicester. They had a chance to go 1-0 up.
I didn't see the game.
They had a spell afterwards with the you know, had a run. They got the goal to pull one back, and they could have quite easily got a couple more. Pablo Hernandez hit the post, or the bar for it could have been an equaliser, and then they scored 2 quick goals on the break. Did Leicester, but I don't think they just need to get in that. I don't think the start that they've had helped them in terms of. Scored 3 goals against Liverpool. They scored, you know, the hammered Aston Villa at Aston Villa. The beat Fulham, scored 4 goals against Fulham, and I don't think that start helped them because they've come up against a Crystal Palace under Roy Hodgson, who gives you no room for error, and I don't think Leeds were battle-hardened enough for those sort of games yet. Mm-hmm. I think they've played away at Selhurst Park and had a rough day.
Yeah.
You can now sort of reflect from that. If they go and play a Burnley and get hammered by Burnley next 4-1, you'll think, what is going wrong? But now you know you've got to just be at times adapt, you know, because it's all well and good saying this philosophy. And, yeah, it's good half the time, but you've got to adapt because the 15th in the Premier League now, and whilst I don't think 15th reflects how good they've been in all the games. You're 8 games in. Do you know what I mean? So in 2 games, you're a quarter of the way through Premier League season. So, look, I don't think they've been found out. I just think they need to smarten up a little bit and just sort of know how teams are going to play and be tough. And, you know, they'll get there. They'll get there. They've enough going forward. And Patrick Bamford had took his goal again. And people are laughing when they're saying... but he might be called up to England squad this time around. People are laughing, but there's been players called up that have done less than what Bamford's done in the past. I remember.
Well, how many's he got so far this season?
He's on about 8 now, isn't he? He's
something like that.
Well, you know, I remember Ricky Lambert getting
Golden boot.
But you remember Ricky Lambert got called up to England squad, and I'm sorry, but Patrick Bamford offers you more than what Ricky Lambert ever offered the team. And, you know, it's
I have
not
to
just
say for Bam, he works so hard
does.
for the team. He does, and he deserves every goal he gets. I mean, that with his arm offside. I'm still annoyed at that.
Yeah.
It's what a ridiculous for any team. For he's pointing to where he wants the ball put in, and if you look at his feet are outside the 18-yard box. He's not even in the box.
But
So he can score with his hand, can he?
I'm listening to TalkSport earlier, and Andros Townsend's on, obviously Crystal Palace player, and they were asked about it, and he says, "Yeah, well, you've got to go to letter at law, and they were right to give it offside because he went offside." I'm thinking, Andros, I tell you what, if that's Jordan Ayew at other end and he gets a goal disallowed, you are you are fuming, absolutely fuming. Yeah. So don't give it that just because it were against your team, Andros.
I just think
he's right in what he's saying in terms of that is the rule. Somebody
change the rule.
Change the rule because it's ridiculous. Patrick and the ruling used to be, say for instance, it wasn't Bamford who scored; it was another player, and Bamford were in offside position. He's only deemed as offside then if he's interfered with play. Well, I'm sorry, but even though surely they can take that into account for decisions like that, Patrick Bamford's pointing to where he wants the ball, and I'm sorry, but who said right? Here's one for you. If he's pointing towards the ball and then starts sprinting, is he going to sprint with one hand? He's had to take his arm back to sprint. Yeah. So his arm's been offside and it's come offside. It's gone back onside. I just don't. I don't get it. There's got to be some. Yes, his arm was straying in front of that line, but there's got to be some common sense in there.
That is not offside.
It's not at all. Not at all. It's a ridiculous decision. Because he would, wouldn't he? If you're running, his arm comes back, he ain't going to run like that.
Like he's on and off.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I agree.
But Malik Stokes, the Chelsea's flying high out the Chelsea.
They are. They've got a couple of players in there that, you know, they look like the finished article at 20, 21 year old. I know Mason.
They seem to be sort of coming together now, I think, and they're clicking out there.
Yeah. Mason Mount comes under criticism, but I don't understand why. I think he's a well-rounded footballer, Mason Mount. He chips in with a goal every now and then. He works hard, which is the number one thing for Frank Lampard. And third, he chips in with his assists and creativity. So I don't understand the criticism he comes under. Is it because he's English? I think it might well be. But, you know, in Mount, in Ziyech, my pronunciation might be off, but it's spelt like that. So Ziyech. Mount.
Oh yes, it is that.
You've Pulisic, you've Werner who's coming and doing all right. There's another boy I'm forgetting who's coming. Havertz. So you've a lot there that are all good young players. The problem is for Frank Lampard now finding that right balance.
Yeah.
Finding that right balance because you can only play a certain amount with those players week in week out, and Frank's got to just do what's best for Chelsea Football Club. He can't be thinking, I want to keep everybody happy, because that's when you start getting a bit of inconsistency and a bit sloppy. You've got to play the players that are playing well. And if that means your Callum Hudson-Odoi is not getting the sniff, then I'm sorry, but until there's a bit of loss of form or Callum Hudson-Odoi does something in training and you think, right, I need to give him a run, then he doesn't play. And to be fair to Lampard, he's got rid of Ross Barkley, a player who, you know, he's got rid of Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah.
So he's saying to him, look lads, if you're not there, you're going to go out on loan and try and get a run, and then, you know, if you come back in a better player, then you might get another sniff.
Just before we've got Mick Ledbetter, who's a referee on Facebook. Mick, what's your thoughts on that offside with Bamford? Let us know your thoughts, because that in a million years was never offside. Anyway, sorry, I'm just going back to Chelsea, but while he's on Facebook now, Mick, what's your thoughts on that? Let us know. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, we've got a comment from Ben Gummersel. Thoughts on Gary Monk being sacked by Sheffield Wednesday? Now, I'd completely forgotten that happened as well yesterday.
I didn't even know that. Bloody hell.
Yeah. I've
got just the article up here. So he was sacked by Wednesday on Monday after 14 months in charge.
Wednesday on Monday?
Having won only 2 of the last 12 games. And the rumours are that Tony Pulis is amongst the names. Tony Pulis, former Wigan boss Paul Cook and ex-Watford manager Nigel Pearson are among the other favoured candidates to replace Monk. The former Swansea City, Leeds United, Birmingham City and Middlesbrough boss saw his side lose 5 of their first 11 championship games. They've obviously had 6 points deducted for breaking EFL spending rules, but they moved off the bottom of the table on Saturday. And Monk's get my teeth in. Monk's successor will be the 5th person in charge at Hillsborough since the summer of 2015.
Yeah, where would Wednesday have been without the 6 points?
I
They've been
will.
deducted? Because I'm gonna look at Chef Wednesday's squad and I'm gonna. So they're on what, 6? They'd have been
Just not too far
they'd have
up
been,
about.
but they'd have been out
19th,
of that relegation
18th,
zone, wouldn't they? And they've played 6 games.
I just had to count on my fingers there.
So they've won.
Because they did have 12, didn't
Sorry, I'm miles away there. They've played 11 games and they've won 3.
Yeah.
But they've also drawn 3. Yes, they've lost 5. I don't see how Sheffield Wednesday are any higher than where they would have been had they not had the 6 points deducted. I still see them hovering too good for relegation a little bit, but not really threatening the top half of the table. Because I look at the teams in the Championship: Reading, Watford, Norwich, Bournemouth, Bristol City, Swansea.
It's a
And
tough. It's a
you've
tough
teams
league
low
again
down.
this year.
Huddersfield are a good footballing team. Notts Forest are down in 20th, and you wouldn't expect that.
It's going to be a tough league.
I just think the sacked Gary Monk,
to stay in.
who's a manager who knows the Championship well. Did a reasonable job at Leeds, actually, did Gary Monk. He's going to be replaced. You've mentioned there a couple of names. If you're a Chef Wednesday fan, those names aren't filling you with much hope.
Tony Pulis.
I thought Nigel Pearson were unlucky to lose his job at Watford, but what I will say is he's not the sort of manager that you'd put on as a priority to get at your football club. He's somebody that'll probably get his job done, but it don't fill you with much optimism, does it? Nigel and certainly not with Tony Pulis. Well, we can just Google when Tony Pulis' last job was, because it's got to be 4 or 5 years since now.
Stoke,
2019.
Did he go back to Stoke?
Mick Lebetter, absolute disgrace of a decision. Amen, brother. I completely agree, and I know you're a Leeds fan.
It's a disgrace at rule, isn't it?
He's a referee, and he's not a bad referee at all. I'll give him that. He wasn't a bad keeper, actually, won't Mick? But anyway, that's another.
What did he say? Sorry, I missed that.
He said absolute disgrace of a decision. I concur.
Agreed. Yes, so he's been doing media work since leaving Middlesbrough in May 2019.
Yeah, because obviously Neil Warnock's at Middlesbrough now, and he? All right, being a fan, you've gone from Pulis to Warnock. Living in dreamland.
Well, this is the thing: clubs make these appointments, don't they, to get them out of trouble, to save them from relegation. But then where do you go from there?
And this is the problem.
And people do, and this is the issue with clubs. The majority of the time, when they do appoint these managers to get them out of trouble,
you bring Tony Pulis in, right? He's probably going to get you survive, and you'll probably escape relegation, right? But what he'll do is he'll bring in 4 or 5 32, 33-year-olds that are just known to play, get the ball from one box to the other, cut out the midfield, get a big Ken Wynne-Jones or someone up front, and they'll have the big meatheads at back, and that is the way that he plays, and he did it at Stoke, and look, when he left Stoke, he did it. The people are saying, "Oh, Pulis, he did a great job," but what they aren't realising is that Tony Pulis, whenever he's left a club, they've struggled and been on the down. That's what he'll do. He'll step in a short term at Chef Wednesday. He might do this season, or he might do a season and a half. He'll leave the club, and then he's left the club and the new manager with 6 or 7 57-year-olds that don't fit into the style of play that the next manager wants to play. So I don't. Tony Pulis, for me, he's been a good manager, and I respect him for what he's done. But if you're Sheffield Wednesday, just stay clear. Stay clear for me.
That's what I think, and I think you need to have those plans in place of beyond staying up and beyond being safe in the Championship. Sheffield Wednesday haven't been in the top flight for 20 years now, and they used to be well up there. So
Mally Stokes, Big Sam for Wednesday.
And obviously, like it said
Pen
in that
size
article,
brown envelope he gets.
Like it said in that article, they've had the 5th manager in since 2015, so they're going through a manager a year. They need to think,
but if I'm a chef,
they need to think further and think into the future and get a manager that. I mean, Gary Monk would have been perfect, but obviously
If
they're
I'm a
not
Chef Wednesday
giving
fan,
him time.
who's the chap they had who signed Forestieri? What, Carlos or what were they called?
Tumababe.
No, you
No,
know what
yeah,
I'm on
I know,
about, don't
yeah.
you? He managed them and they were quite successful.
Amy, where are you?
He went on.
Amy.
He went.
Chef
No,
Wednesday
he
fan.
went on to manage in Premier League.
Yes, I know
can
exactly
picture
who
him.
you mean.
Um,
I know exactly who you mean.
but is come on.
I'm
get
googling
up.
it. I'm googling
Well,
it.
while you're doing that, just some messages on Facebook. Scrap VAR altogether. I'm with you on that one, mate. Ben. Mickler better. Mike Dean hates us. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, well, I'd agree with the VAR. I think that because there's that many rules and
Yeah.
regulations, you can't.
It says, or maybe use for the more serious offences, i.e. possible red cards, serious offences, leave goal decisions to linesmen and the referee. I agree. And Malik Stokes says, definitely a goal. The forward, give the forward the benefit of the doubt. Level used to be onside, and he's right. How you? I nearly swore then. How was your arm offside? It's really annoyed me.
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
Because it changes the game completely. If that goal had stood, it is a completely different game.
Oh, absolutely.
Carlos Carvalhal.
I said Carlos, didn't I? I was going to say Carlos Corberan, but he's Huddersfield town manager.
Carvalhal.
Carvajal.
I know, yeah.
Carlos.
Yeah.
He
was the great manager.
But what I'm saying is the identity. What identity of Chef Wednesday got as a football club, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got Carlos Carvajal, who were a manager.
Carvalhal, I think we'll go with.
They played Carvajal. It's Carlos Carvajal. They played the ball on the floor. They play some attractive football. Well, certainly more than what Tony Pulis would. So you've two different identities in managers there. You must be pulling your hair out if you're a Chef Wednesday fan, because you're thinking, what's next?
Carlos Carvalhal.
No stability.
He was manager from 30th of June 2015 to 5th of January 2018, so he had a pretty decent stint. And then Jos Luhukai was from 2018 to 2019, which they had Steve Bruce, and then a couple of months later he was sacked, and then they've had Gary Monk in, and now he's been sacked. So what do you do? Would you get in as a Sheffield? I mean, I nearly said Sheffield United then. I meant Chef Wednesday. Apologies. Because, I mean, you're a Wednesday fan. You're not looking at Tony Pulis to come and save the day in years to come, are you? So, hey-ho. Who knows? What do we know?
Yeah, it's a weird one. Mind you don't know if Tony Pulis could be given a mantle to... And he's done it in the past with Stoke. They might be saying to Pulis, look, keep us up this year. Next year, you've got a 3-year deal. Keep us up this year. Next year, get us consolidated with the players you want. And then the third year, we want to be in Premier League. And do you know what?
Well, if you look at Wednesday, it's such a big club as well.
But what if that doesn't happen and then he gets sacked?
I know, but that's what I'm saying. And it won't surprise me if I just wouldn't. Not Pulis for me.
But yeah, like you said, Wednesday are a big club, and they're just falling a bit by the wayside at the minute.
Should we have a second song?
Yeah. Do you want to announce it, Con?
Go on.
I forgot what I've picked. Is it I'm the cat with the bass and drum. Like bum, bum, bum.
Oh, God.
What's grooving? I'm moving. I like your style of a wamping.
I'm going to take my headphones off.
Enjoy.
Listen to all the whistle with Con and Zoe live on Smile Radio. Keep your messages coming through Instagram and Twitter at Smile Radio 3, Smile Radio Yorkshire on Facebook. Drop me an email, richard@smileradio.co. We'll be right back after this tune.
Oh, yes.
CG's picked. Don't go anywhere.
Bass and drum going around like bum bum bum. I'm the cat with the bass and drum going around like bum bum bum. What's grooving? I'm moving. I like your style of lumping. How charming, just a rapper. Load him up and eat that snapper. I was 16 pints of rum and then I go bum bum. Growing up in the dark and a knife, and so I go oh I brought a pie in my pocket, and I am a rapper, load him up and eat that snapper. I was 16 pints of rum and then I go bum bum. Growing up in the dark and the light, and so I go, oh, I brought a pie in my pocket, and I am a sucker. No got life, no got style, no got nothing on my mind, but I'm so cool and I'm so groovy when I go bum bum bum. I'm so cool and I'm so groovy when I go bum bum bum. Bum bum bum.
Oh, baby.
Oh, no heat's it, huh?
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Smile Radio, the home of the best new independent artists from all around the world.
We are back.
Hi.
Boom! What a song that is. What
Boom,
a song.
boom,
I
boom.
didn't listen to it.
Zoe's not impressed with that choice. Are you offended by it, though?
I'm not offended. I'm not offended by it, Charlotte. She said I sounded like Mum when I said the other week. Well, no, I'm not offended by it. She said I sounded just like Mum. Actually, Charlotte, I am offended by that song.
It's a belter. Absolute belter.
Anyway, Mick Ledbetter says offsides should be advantage to the attacker. And then he said, with all the cameras at the ground, why can't there be one to show that in line with the second to the last defender, as the assistant has to be give the credible offside. The VAR, the Leeds game, isn't even close to being in line. It's true that where the camera was. Yeah, I know what you mean, Mick. Yeah.
And the thing is that if sorry, get my words out. If Bamford had been given, compose myself. I don't know what's happened. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. If Bamford had been given that goal, it would have completely changed the game, wouldn't it?
They won 6-4.
Yeah.
Shut up. But what was the score at the time?
Well, 1-0.
1-0, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd have been one apiece.
It'd have been one apiece, and it would have been a completely different game. But then, as it happens, obviously Crystal Palace went on to score however many more goals, and then it ended up being 4-1. So it was a crucial decision at a crucial point in the game, and the goal should have stood.
Absolutely.
And you never know with Leeds, they would have probably gone on and either won that or got at least something from the game. But anyway.
Leeds are falling apart again.
Well, not like Arsenal, who got beat by Aston Villa at the weekend. That was an awful display, was it not?
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't watch it, but you were watching it.
It was definitely surprising. So you go into games as an Arsenal fan, I know, especially over the last couple of years, and even towards the back end of the Wenger days, and you're thinking to yourself, it won't surprise me if I lost here. I went into that game, they beat Man United at Old Trafford. Arteta's got them playing well, and they've got a good, solid squad. Partey's come in, done a sterling job. Saka, Aubameyang. The fullbacks are as good as any fullbacks in the league. The centre halves have been playing well, and then they just get absolutely blown away by Villa. And I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. Villa could have scored more goals than the three. They had one disallowed after 30 seconds, which were a bit harsh, I think, and that maybe should have stood on another day. It just came out of nowhere, and that's probably a pleasing thing for Arsenal. The fact is, it came out of nowhere, and I think they'll bounce back all right. It's not, but it's probably a wake-up call. It's probably one of them that says, right, look, we're still not where we need to be. But Villa were good, the creative players.
There's a couple of results, dodgy results here and then, but by and large, they've been quite impressive.
And that's
this year.
what Villa are going to be like because of the players they've got. They're too inconsistent. You sign Ross Barkley, you've got a great player for 50% of your games. You've got a mediocre player for the other 50%. Jack Grealish has got better as the years have gone on, but he's still got a little bit of inconsistency in his game. Ollie Watkins is a player who's come from the Championship, and yes, he's got all the potential in the world, but he's not going to perform week in, week out at that level. He's probably going to take it. He's probably going to be inconsistent for a little bit. You've players in the Douglas Luiz, etc., that are a little bit inconsistent. When they're good, they're good. But there's games they're going to get beat. There's games they're going to get beat, as it showed. Leeds hit them for free at Villa Park and were outplayed, and Leeds could have won 5 or 6-0 that game.
And
funny team, aren't they?
Yeah, and now we've got the international break this weekend as well. So teams will have wanted to carry on the form, but obviously we've got international break this weekend, and England are playing Belgium on Saturday.
Sorry, Mally's just said he lives up the road from Terry Curran, Wednesday legend, and he says, I'm sure I'd seen where he told Wednesday to go for the bloke who's at Arsenal, but they declined. Are you on about Arta? Did they offer Arta to the job? Is that what you're saying, Mally?
Oh, they might have done a few years ago, maybe, when he left. I don't, maybe?
I'm not sure.
I can't think of anybody in the backroom staff that would have been offered a job. I think Arteta brought them in himself, so I don't know.
And interesting.
Not sure.
I didn't know that. Anyway.
But yeah, so England playing Belgium at the weekend. What are your thoughts on that one?
3-0 Bamford hat-trick.
Is he on standby?
Well, I think he'll be in, won't he? I think he'll be in. They're waiting on. I think Rashford's injured. I think if Rashford's injured, Bamford will be called up. And Gareth Southgate, did play 2 games in quick succession. He likes to give the players that have been called up to the squad for the first time a run, doesn't he? So Bamford for England. Belgium. They're a funny side. They can hit you for 6. You've De Bruyne. Lukaku, who's unplayable, and I think he's one of the most underrated strikers in the world football. Romelu Lukaku, I honestly do. He didn't.
It's on Sunday, sorry, not Saturday. But
so you've got there some players that are as good as any that England have got.
It was Belgium they played before, wasn't it? When we were in Filey and they beat them.
They beat them, but Belgium will concede opportunity. They'll give you chances. So Harry Kane's in great form at the minute, isn't he? And Calvert-Lewin has been at Everton. So
he's at a real purple patch, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. Probably won't play over Kane, and I don't think you can accommodate Kane and Calvert-Lewin. Unless you play Harry Kane a little bit deeper, but I think the quality of players we've got in the deeper positions.
And before that, obviously on Thursday they've got a friendly against Republic of Ireland as well.
Bamford might get a game in that one.
So I'm just looking. I'm trying to find the squad. They've got obviously a 29-man squad.
I'll tell you who has been called up. The boy who left Birmingham.
Jude Bellingham, yeah.
Bellingham, 17.
Yeah.
Playing at Dortmund, is he?
Yeah, it's for senior call-up.
And he's been called up to the England squad. So 17, he must be the youngest player to be called up at England squad for how long?
Yeah, so it's Jude Bellingham, been called up to senior England squad for the first time. Borussia Dortmund midfielder was promoted from the under-21s after Liverpool defender Alexander Arnold and Southampton midfielder James Ward-Prowse withdrew with injury. Has made 11 appearances for Dortmund after signing in the summer from Birmingham. If Bellingham plays in any of those games, he will become the 3rd youngest player to represent England after who?
Wayne Rooney. Walcott.
Yep. Correct, after Theo Walcott and Wayne Rooney.
He went to the
World
Cup at 16, didn't he, Walcott?
Yeah.
Didn't get a game though, did he?
I did well to get that.
Well done. I'm very. I knew Rooney obviously.
He came on. He came on for one appearance at 16.
Did he?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Put that on your CV.
Yeah. There we go. Have some of that.
Right then. It's that time. Thanks everybody.
Yeah, thank
Mick,
you very
Mally,
much for listening.
Ben, everybody else who's been listening, and your messages, Charlotte, Bugsy.
I'm not offended by you, Charlotte.
Not offended. Right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. All I've left to say is thank you very much.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you.
And we'll
stay safe.
See you next week.
See you on
TFN.
Tuesday.
Ta-da for now. Take care.
Stay safe,
everybody, and look after yourself. Ta-da.
So if you don't wanna cry like I do, I keep away from a run around sewer. Whoa.